Nasseruddean. I'm sorry for any mispronunciations of your name if you're watching. But yeah, this is Nasseruddean's team. So we've got the Kilowattrel, we've got the Magmar, we've got the Indeedee, Annihilate, Tyranitar, and Garchomp. Just to go over their achievements here. So we've got Malaysia National Top 16 twice in 2024 and 2022. World Cup with Malaysia in Top 16 result in 2021. And the Kuala Lumpur Regional Top 8 in 2016 as well. So they've been around quite a while.
Yeah, and a lot of really impressive achievements, just showcasing that Nasseruddean is a veteran player, has been in the circuit since 2016 and has consistently managed to do quite well. And he's got quite a cool team of that Kilowattrel, which with that competitive ability is very effective at scaring off a lot of intimidates from opposing teams. And Kilowattrel, not quite a common Pokemon, but the other Pokemon on the team, like the Magmar, Indeedee, Male, and Annihilate, Tyranitar, and Garchomp, are fairly common in this Regulation H format.
Yeah, the combination of these 6 is unusual to me. So we've got the Terra Electric on the Kilowattrel, so it's going to be doing some damage there. We've also got Terra Stellar Annihilate with Final Gambit as well. So that's really interesting too, because obviously a Terra Stellar close combat is not going to do light damage, and also a Final Gambit just gives the opportunity for it to take out any target it desires.
Yeah, it's a very hyper-offensive team. You do have the Tailwind option on the Kilowattrel, so even if that competitive does not get activated, it can still be a really good support Pokemon for the rest of its team. Now this Garchomp is also just a rough skin variant with the Swords Dance, so a bit of a... I think some Garchomps choose to run Rock Slide for that coverage, but this Garchomp here with the Life Orb, with the Swords Dance, it's just ready to deal out some serious damage.
Yeah, that's right. So they can also do something like Magmar, Garchomp, click up Swords Dance, and Magmar goes down. They can bring the Tyranitar next turn, get the sand up, and start clicking those Earthquakes. So yeah, very scary, hyper-offensive team. Yeah,
let's take a look at Nasseruddean's opponent's team. It's Daravone Souphommanychanh. I think that's, once again, apologies if I've got the name wrong, but let's take a look at Daravone's achievements. So Vancouver Regionals Top 32, Toronto Regionals Top 32, World's Top 8 in the Senior Division, and Canada National Finalists in the Junior Division. So a player that's, you can say, probably has grown up with Pokemon and, is just, at this stage, very experienced with the game.
Yeah, exactly. And just to go over the team here, so we've got this is very similar to Carson Confer's team. We've got the Talonflame with the Tailwind, we've got the Indeedee Sneasel combination with the Unburdened Psychic Seed, we've got the Electabuzz and the Blood Moon Ursaluna, and we do have an Incineroar here as well. So the other team that we were talking about does have 2 abilities that can benefit from an Intimidate from the Incineroar, Defiant and Competitive on the other team. So this is super interesting. They can always isolate that Incineroar or kind of make a big call that it's not going to come. But yeah, this is also quite a hyper-offensive team here with a Follow Me user. So these are kind of 2 closely kind of similar teams off the bat here as well. It's also Sash on the Indeedee, not Choice Scarf. It does have a Trick Room option as well. So yeah, this is very scary to face up against here.
Yeah, 2 hyper-offensive teams, and that Incineroar, probably it's not really going to want to face off against Nasseruddean's team, but then you've got that Tyranitar and you've got that Garchomp, and that's something that you really want to intimidate. But then if you bring your Intimidate, then you might accidentally give your opponent a boost as well. So bit of a difficult, Incineroar maybe not wanting to come into this game, but we'll have to see what our players are going to decide as we are going to get into our game 1.
That's right. So on Davarone's side, we've got the Talonflame, the Blood Moon Ursaluna. On Nasser's side, we've got the Magmar and the Tyranitar.
Yeah, the Talonflame, quite free to just start immediately setting up that Tailwind. Of course, it is times 4 weak to the Rock Slides from the Tyranitar, and if it stays in, it will take damage from Sand at the end of the turn. So Talonflame, of course, it's not the Focus Sash variant, but if he gets hit with a Rock Slide, it's just going to go down. So Davarone might want to just, set up that Tailwind, but it looks like Magmar just going to go immediately for Follow Me first.
Yeah, Follow Me from the Magmar here. Tailwind does get set up on Davarone's side. It was an Earth Power into the Magmars. That's probably going to go down. It does go down, so that's a big knockout on turn 1. I can't remember what this Tyranitar was actually locking into here. But I imagine it's a low kick into the Ursaluna and almost takes it out. Not quite a one-hit knockout, but gets it very, very low.
Yeah, Talonflame manages to survive this turn because it wasn't targeted, but the Ursaluna, the combination of low kick plus that life orb damage has left it quite a bit into the red, and it really has a bit of a, on a bit of a timer here. But we can see now Nasseruddean's back two Pokemons, that Annihilate and the Garchomp. Now, Tailwind has been set up on Daravone's side, and I would expect this Ursaluna to be trained to be faster than a Garchomp under Tailwind. So there's quite a lot of offensive threats coming off on Daravone's side, and can Nasseruddean then stall out all these Tailwind turns?
Yeah, exactly. So the scary thing is the Blood Moon on the other side here, from the Terra Normal, potentially Ursaluna in that Tailwind. So it's kind of a call here if they're going to target the Tyranitar with Earth Power, or if you Blood Moon it and predict the Terra, or if you just Blood Moon the Garchomp, or if you don't click Blood Moon at all, right? That's what this turn might come down to, while the players do lock in their moves here.
Yeah.
Also something interesting here is that Garchomp, if it does get through this turn, has potential next turn to slap some damage down. But we are going to see a Terastallization on the side of Daravone, and it is that Talonflame into the Fairy types. It's loving us all. It's got a heart on top of its head. Going to go into that Fairy Terror on Davarone's side. And we do see a Protect come out from the Garchomp.
Yeah, Garchomp just trying to stall out that first turn of Tailwind, but the Talonflame is going to ignore it and go for that Will-O-Wisp, which connects. And all of a sudden, this Tyranitar's damage output is heavily nerfed as it gets burned. But the Blood Moon coming off onto this Tyranitar, so maybe Daravone trying to predict a Terastallization or a switch out.
Yeah, exactly. And the Rock Slide doesn't quite get the Ursaluna, and it will not take any Sandstorm damage here, so it will survive the turn. I'm just going to say, I've never seen a Blood Moon do that little damage before.
Yeah, that's with the Life Orb as well.
Yeah, Life Orb Ursaluna. It did like, what, 40 damage, 50 damage?
Yeah, that special defense boost from Sand and the Assault Vest just paying off dividends. But also the Tyranitar, because he got burned, wasn't able to knock out the Ursaluna with the Rock Slide. And now Ursaluna's free on the field for another turn. But of course, Blood Moon did get burned, so the Garchomp isn't in danger of getting knocked out by the Ursaluna, but the Talonflame also just has Will-O-Wisp, so if it chooses to try that on the Garchomp, it could just get burned this turn.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, there's no Blood Moon threat anymore here from the Garchomp, so it's kind of safe to do whatever it wants here, potentially survive the turn as well. But we are going to see a Terra on the side of Nasseruddean's side of the field. It is that Tyranitar into the Terra flying here. So again, it's having a party like in the last match. The balloon's on top of its head, so it's going to Terastallize into that flying type. And we are going to see a Will-O-Wisp into the Garchomp slot. Oof.
Yeah, a lot of burns coming from this Talonflame, which, not exactly a Pokemon known for bulk, but at the moment it's sticking around quite a bit, and that Earth Power does a really nice bit of damage onto this Garchomp. It is, of course, going to get knocked out from its own life or recoil, but I would say at this point, the Ursaluna has done its job, and the Earthquake coming off on this Garchomp still does a decent amount onto this Talonflame, but thanks to the burn, Talonflame is going to survive, but it looks like the Rock Slide will knock it out.
Yes, that's right, and the Talonflame does go down here. So it's actually a double knockout for the side of Nasseruddean's field, so it's actually quite a good turn. Overall, and the good thing about this Garchomp is it does have the option. I mean, it's obviously quite low, but in general, it does have an option to Swords Dance to kind of negate that burn. But even with the burn, like you said, it did quite a chunk of damage to that Talonflame, with the double up enabling it to go down.
Yeah, now Daravone is going to be forced down to his final two Pokemon, which is going to be that Sneasler and Indeedee combination, and that's actually quite a nice combination now against this Tyranitar and Garchomp, because the Tyranitar has Terastallized into the flying typing, so it can get hit by a expanding force. Now this Indeedee is not a choice scarf, it is the Focus Sash variant, so we are in the final turn of Tailwind, so this Garchomp can just protect it. Oh, actually it looks like Dire Claw coming off immediately, so no protect, and expanding force is going to follow up and take a double knockout.
Yeah, I think Nasseruddean happy to for his two Pokemon to go down there. Done their jobs in this match. The double knockout does come out. That is the final turn of Tailwind, but I do believe the Sneasel will probably still be the fastest thing on the field with that Unburden activated. But the Sandstorm does actually chip this Indeedee down from its focus sash. It's no longer, it can no longer survive a potential one-hit knockout move. We do see the Annihilate in the back here as the last Pokemon for Nasseruddean.
Yeah, now the question is, who is faster, the Indeedee or the Annihilate? Because Indeedee is naturally a little bit faster than Annihilate, but sometimes they're not trained to be that fast. Now, this is an Indeedee on a hyper-offensive team, so looks like actually Diaclaw going to come off first on this Annihilate. No status conditions, and the Indeedee is faster. It's going to easily take the knockout onto this Annihilate with a super effective hit. So Daravone taking game 1 quite convincingly, and I think playing really well, going for that terrestrialization onto this Talonflame to make sure that it survived a lot of super effective hits, and then just spreading burn damage throughout Nasseruddean's team.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that was a really key spot by Daravone, is to see actually Nasseruddean's team, most of it is physical damage. So if you can keep that Talonflame around, get some Will-O-Wisps off, you're negating a lot of the damage coming out from Nasseruddean's team. Zoe, what would you like to see adaptation-wise in Game 2?
I think Daravone brought the correct four. The Incineroar was very heavily threatened because there's Defiant and Competitive on Nasseruddean's team. And I think Nasseruddean, that Tyranitar and Garchomp, they are good Pokemon to have against, but he has to be very careful about getting burned. The Magma went for that follow me turn 1, but then just got instantly knocked out. So maybe a bit of a gameplay adjustment, maybe going for that terrestrialization on the Magma, or he could maybe think about bringing a Killer Wattrel and match the Tailwinds. And that Killer Wattrel, it's not the most offensive Pokemon, but if you can match Tailwinds and spread a bit of Thunderbolt and maybe get a cheeky flinch with Air Slash, that could be also something to think about.
Yes, I would also like to see the Tailwind matched as well, because it's two hyper-offensive teams. It was difficult for Nasseruddean to get through those Tailwind turns, so maybe matching those Tailwind turns is the best call. But I do believe Game 2 is ready, so we're going to go straight into that game.
Yeah, we're going to go straight into Game 2. So Daravone is going to lead the exact same leads as Game 1 with the Ursaluna and Talonflame, but Nasseruddean having a complete switch up with the Indeedee and the Killer Wattrel. So two little birds staring off against each other.
I really like this adaptation here, because this Indeedee is Choice Scarf. So it will be fast, and the Killer Wattrel can match the Tailwind, so this is a much better turn 1, I think, from Nasseruddean's side.
Yeah, although the Talonflame does have priority Tailwind, which means that if it gets the Tailwind up first, that Ursaluna can move immediately, and we see that Tailwind coming off. So Ursaluna is going to be free to get a move. Oh, actually, the Indeedee's still fast, I guess. So close to knocking out the Ursaluna and Talonflame. Looks like the Blood Moon knocks out the Killer Wattrel, but the Ursaluna's going to go down to its own life orb.
Wow, what an explosive turn that was. First of all, the Indeedee being faster than the Ursaluna with Choice Scarf when the Ursaluna's in Tailwind. That could give some vital information there about the nature of that Ursaluna. And also the crit with the Expanding Force enables Ursaluna to go down with the Life Orb recoil, and then the Blood Moon onto Killer Wattrel to stop Tailwind coming out. So massive turn on turn 1 here.
Yeah, Daravone losing the Ursaluna is a bit of a setback because that is one of the heavy damage dealers. But Tailwind has been set up, and now that the Sneasel is on the field, Sneasel is a much faster Pokemon than the Ursaluna, and it's also got the Psychic Seed. So with the Tailwind and with the Unburden boost from the Psychic Seed, it will be easily enough to outspeed this Indeedee. The question is, can I get the knockout onto this Indeedee with the Throat Chop?
It's a good question. They do have Terra available, Daravone. So is a Terra Dark Sneasler? Whether that's enough damage though to take out an Indeedee is another question. But also on Nasseruddean's side, Tyranitar does have the option to go for that Terra Flying, resist any close combats, and get some damage down on the field here. So it's a really close game so far. Just after one turn, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it looks like the Indeedee's going to withdraw. Nasseruddean not wanting to test whether or not it can survive any throat chops. Garchomp is going to come out, so maybe trying to bait a bit of a hit onto the Garchomp and allow Daravone to get some rough skin damage. It looks like the Sneasler is going to go for that terrestrialization into the Terra Dark, so making itself immune to any psychic moves from the Indeedee, which is now off the field, but also means those throat chops are going to be dealing even more damage.
Yes, and we do see another terrestrialization on the side of Nasseruddean's field. It is that Tyranitar, again going for a party with the balloons on top of its head, with that Terra flying.
Yeah, Tyranitar seems to be very determined to be throwing a party in these two games, but Dialclaw comes off instantly onto this Tyranitar. No status, but the Will-O-Wisp also misses. So this Tyranitar, a bit of a ninja here, just dodging all these moves. Terra Blast now coming off. Terra flying onto the Sneasler. Thanks to that Terra Dark terrestrialization, it is able to survive, but the Sneasler has been brought very low, and both the Sneasler and Talonflame are in danger of getting knocked out by any hit.
Yeah, that was a huge miss there, because we saw the Terra Blast do quite a lot of damage even with its terrestrialization. Nasseruddean successfully baits out the Terra Dark from the Sneasler, removing that Indeedee from the field. So I think there's 2 turns of Tailwind left here. So I feel like if Nasseruddean can get through these Tailwind turns, they're in quite a strong position. It's just a question of whether they can or not.
Yeah, it looks like Sneasler actually going to protect. Maybe Daravone trying to scout out what his opponent's going to do, but Garchomp also going for the protect. So that means Daravone can go for an attack onto this Garchomp next turn. That Flare Blitz on the Tyranitar does a fair bit of damage, does not get the burn, but also means Talonflame will be knocked out to the Flare Blitz recoil.
Yes, and the Rock Slide does come out into that protect from the Sneasler. Nice turn there from Daravone. Base out the protect from the Garchomp, scouting it out. Make sure his own Talonflame goes down with the Flare Blitz on the Tyranitar and getting a decent amount of damage on as well to get a free switch in here in the final turn of Tailwinds. Very, very, very nice turn from Daravone there.
Yeah, Daravone now on the final turn of Tailwind and has a fresh Indeedee out the back. Now, Daravone's Indeedee is the Focus Sash variant. Of course, with that sand screen or the sand up on the field, it will have its Focus Sash broken, but Sneasler can just go for an attack onto either the Tyranitar or the Garchomp, which had protected that last turn, so it probably doesn't want to risk going for the protect. And with the Tyranitar now in that Terra flying, it once again is weak to the expanding forces, so Daravone can just double up into the Garchomp slot.
Yes, they can also just Throat Chop that slot as well to cover for any switches, because the Garchomp is low enough to probably go down to a Throat Chop here. But we do see the switch from the Garchomp into the Indeedee on the side of Nasseruddean. So it's a close combat. Sorry for that. It's a close combat into the Indeedee. It does take it out. Wow. What a huge KO. I can't believe close combat taking that the Indeedee out. Nice KO there from Daravone, and it leaves his Tyranitar a bit vulnerable to this expanding force from the imposing Indeedee here. And that's not going to survive that turn, so that does go down as well.
Yeah, that Tyranitar has been picked off by the expanding force, but it does mean that Tailwind has been stored out. Now, Garchomp is a fairly bulky Pokemon, so it will probably survive any attack from this Sneasler. So with that Tailwind being no longer active for Daravone's side, the Garchomp can just go for an Earthquake, and the question is that Earthquake enough to knock out this Indeedee, which has now had its Focus Sash broken?
Yeah, it should be faster than the Indeedee as well, depending on natures and how they're trained. So it does, it could come down to some Dialclaw luck as well, but it looks like they might be locking the Protect here to potentially get that Sneasler chip down, or potentially knocked out this turn with the Sandstorm chip.
Yeah, the Sandstorm probably won't knock out this Sneasler at this range, but it's also maybe helping Nasseruddean kind of think about, actually get Helping Hand coming off onto this Sneasler, but we all know that the Garchomp has protected, so that Helping Hand is going to be wasted on this Sneasler this turn. So the close combat now coming off, not going to affect that protect, and it means the question is, can this Garchomp get a double protect off as the Sneasler just hangs on with that little bit of health from the sand damage?
There's also does the Garchomp survive a Helping Hand's close combat as well? If it does, then it's obviously the Sneasel will go down to the Rough Skin chip, and then it's a single target Earthquake on the Indeedee, which should take it out. So that would give Nasseruddean the victory. It just depends if it does survive. Either a double up here or a helping hand in close combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Sneasel is unburdened, it's not poison touch, so if it... I think at this stage you want to go for that helping hand close combat onto the Garchomp, but Garchomp is a very bulky Pokemon, so there's a good chance it might survive, and we're gonna see, here we go, a helping hand onto this Sneasler. Is that going to be enough to get the knockout? And it is enough to get the knockout. Garchomp has been knocked out. That Rough Skin also going to knock out the Sneasler, but the Indeedee is the last Pokemon left standing, and Daravone is going to take the win for Team Canada.
Big win there from... That was a massive KO. Wow, I did not expect that. Yeah.